From one perspective, at least, it might be said that this is a perfect bodybuilding program if you keep in mind, at least, that the ideal situation is to be able to stimulate all of the major muscles of the body with the least amount of exercise possible. That's all you're going to do. A set of squats, 8 to 15 to failure, followed by a very brief rest, and a set of close grip, palms up, pull down, 6 to 10 reps to failure. That's all you're going to do. 2 sets, 2 exercises, 1 set of each. 5 to 8 reps to failure. After a brief rest, proceed to exercise number 2, a set of dips, 6 to 10 reps to failure.
Mike Mentzer eventually reduced bodybuilding to just 4 exercises. Not 4 exercises in one workout, 4 exercises across the entire program. One week you perform squats and pull downs. The following week you perform deadlifts and dips. Then you repeat the cycle. So every individual exercise is performed only once every 14 days. And before we begin, I want to make something clear. I experimented with Mike Mentzer's heavy duty system when I was in my 20s, and I certainly noticed results from it. So I am not approaching this video believing that low volume training cannot work. I know from personal experience that it can. What we are examining today is this specific and extremely reduced version of the system. How effective can a program this minimal really be? Who could benefit from it? And how would you know whether it was working for you? Let's decode it.
I'm going to finish up here today not with any more abstract theory, but a concretization of the theory, the nuts and bolts, the actual training program itself. What I'm going to present to you is a detailed outline of a modified, improved version of the consolidation program listed in Heavy Duty 2, Mind and Body, my latest book. From one perspective, at least, it might be said that this is a perfect bodybuilding program if you keep in mind, at least, that the ideal situation is to be able to stimulate all of the major muscles of the body with the least amount of exercise possible. We'll go through this quickly without unduly hurrying it. What I would suggest you consider trying at least for part of the year. Of course, you're not morally, legally bound to do this all year round. But as I tell my training clients, having hired me as your trainer, it's my job to get you growing stronger and bigger in the fastest way possible. And I have found through considerable experience that this program literally does represent, again, from a certain perspective, throughout part of the training year.
The exact wording Mike uses here is important. He doesn't simply say that this is the perfect routine for every person in every situation forever. He says it could be considered perfect from a certain perspective. And that perspective is efficiency. How can you stimulate all the major muscles while performing the least amount of exercise possible? That is a very interesting question. Mike's entire philosophy is built around the belief that training creates the stimulus, but recovery is where the actual growth takes place. So once you've created enough stimulation, he believes that performing more work only makes a deeper demand on your recovery ability. His objective isn't to see how much training you can tolerate. His objective is to find the smallest amount required to produce progress. The difficult question is knowing exactly where that point is. How do you know that one set was enough? How do you know that an additional set would have been unnecessary? That is where the discussion becomes more complicated, because the answer might not be exactly the same for every person. Mike also says that he recommends considering this routine for part of the training year. That changes the way I look at it. This might not need to be treated as a permanent training system. It could be used during a period when your recovery is poor, your training has become excessive, or you simply want to determine how little work you really need to keep progressing. Now, let's see exactly what Mike means by minimal training.
I would suggest you start by training once a week, doing two different basic workouts. We'll refer to them here as workout A and workout B.
So we are training once every 7 days and alternating between two different workouts. That means workout A isn't repeated the following week. You return to it 14 days later. This is considerably less frequent than simply training each body part once a week.
Workout A will consist of number one, a set of squats, preferably on a machine. If not the Nautilus Duo squat, then perhaps a Smith machine. If you have any problems with your back or you can't do squats for whatever reason, then I would suggest you substitute leg presses. Do one set of squats to failure, 8 to 15 reps.
The first exercise is one set of squats to complete muscular failure. Mike prefers a machine squat or a Smith machine squat here and recommends substituting the leg press if somebody cannot squat comfortably. And remember, this is not one working set followed by several other leg exercises. This is the only direct leg set in workout A. Imagine the focus you would need to place on that single set. You know there is not a second set coming. There is no leg extension afterwards. There is no additional leg workout later in the week. Your next opportunity to improve that exercise will be 14 days later. That places a tremendous amount of importance on your execution and effort.
As soon as you recognize you're ready to go, proceed to a set of close grip palms up pull downs. Close grip palms up pull downs. And by that I mean your grip should be 8 or 10 inches apart depending upon your shoulder width and your physical stature. Palms up, I mean a curling grip. Your palms are literally facing up. Initiate the movement with extreme deliberation, utilizing no thrust or momentum to get the weight started and to keep it moving. Pull it down to your clavicles under hyper strict control. Pause for a long static count of 2 or 3 seconds and lower under strict control. That's all you're going to do. A set of squats, 8 to 15 to failure, followed by a very brief rest, and a set of close grip palms up pull down, 6 to 10 reps to failure.
The second exercise is a close grip palms up pull down. And I like the way Mike describes the execution. No thrust, no momentum. Start the movement deliberately, pull under control, pause at the bottom, and control the negative. This is important because heavy duty was never supposed to mean moving the greatest possible weight by any means necessary. The set still has to be performed properly. Mike also recommends resting as little as possible between the squat and the pull down. Personally, I would interpret that sensibly. After a genuine set of squats to failure, you might need enough time to regain your breathing and concentration before performing another maximum effort exercise. The objective should be to avoid wasting time, not to rush so much that the second exercise suffers. And that is the entire workout. One set of squats, one set of pull downs, then leave the gym. Could you genuinely finish after those two sets? Or would you immediately feel that you hadn't done enough?
1 week later, you'll do workout B, which will consist of number one, a set of regular, not stiff legged, but the regular old fashioned deadlift, or as many of you here seem to enjoy, you might want to use the trap bar. That's fine with me. 5 to 8 reps to failure. After a brief rest, proceed to exercise number two, a set of dips, 6 to 10 reps to failure.
Workout B is even simpler. One set of conventional deadlifts for 5 to 8 repetitions. Then, one set of dips for 6 to 10 repetitions. That is the complete program. Across 14 days, you perform one set of squats, one set of pull downs, one set of deadlifts, and one set of dips. You can clearly see Mike's logic behind the exercise selection. The squat trains a large portion of the lower body, the pull down covers the back and biceps. The deadlift involves the posterior chain, grip, and a tremendous amount of total body musculature. And the dips trains the chest, triceps, and front of the shoulders. He's trying to obtain the greatest return from the smallest number of movements. Could somebody build muscle and strength with these exercises? Yes, absolutely. Especially when the sets are performed with genuine effort and the person is progressing over time. As I mentioned earlier, I experienced results myself when I experimented with heavy duty training. So the question isn't whether low volume training can work. The question is whether this exact amount and selection of exercises is enough for your complete development. For example, there is no direct exercise for the side delts, rear delts, calves, or knee flexion function of the hamstring. Those areas might receive some indirect work, and some people might develop very well from compound exercises alone. Other people might discover that certain muscles need more direct attention. That doesn't automatically make the routine wrong. It means you would need to observe what is actually happening to your physique. I would also be careful with the instruction to take conventional deadlifts to absolute failure. With an exercise like a pull down or a machine squat, reaching muscular failure can be relatively controlled. With a deadlift, technique might begin to deteriorate before the target muscles are completely incapable of continuing. Personally, I would stop when I knew I couldn't perform another technically acceptable repetition. That can still be an extremely hard set without allowing the exercise to become dangerous. The real test isn't whether the routine looks too short on paper. The test is whether you become stronger, recover properly, and develop the muscles you are trying to build. If those things are happening, the routine is producing a result. If your progress stops or certain areas are clearly being neglected, then the program might need to be adjusted.
Don't make the mistake of gauging or evaluating the success of any one of these workouts based on pump or soreness. If getting a pump was clear proof that growth was stimulated, then all these people I see training volume style for hours, even 2 and 3 times a day, would have 32-inch arms by now because they get pumped every day, twice and thrice a day for years. Getting a pump is not important. It feels good. I like it myself, but it's not important.
This is one of the strongest lessons in the entire seminar. A pump can feel fantastic, but it doesn't automatically prove that productive growth stimulus was created. You can obtain an enormous pump from very little weights, endless repetitions, and exercises that are difficult to progress. That feeling alone doesn't tell you whether the workout was effective. The same applies to soreness. Being unable to walk properly for 4 days doesn't prove that your legs are growing. It might simply mean that the movement was unfamiliar or that you performed much more work than your body was prepared to tolerate. Soreness tells you that your body experienced a stress. It doesn't tell you whether the amount of stress was appropriate. But we also have to be fair in the opposite direction. Not experiencing a pump or soreness doesn't automatically prove that the workout was successful either. You need a more reliable way of evaluating the program. And this leads directly into what I consider the most practical part of Mike's entire presentation.
You won't know that any one of these workouts was a successful workout until the next time you do that workout. If you're stronger, obviously a positive change took place. And the point there is keep a training journal. Record the date of each workout. List your body weight at the beginning. List the exercises, the amount of weight, of course, and be real cautious and careful about this last point. Accurately record the number of reps.
Mike says that you won't know whether the workout was successful until the next time you perform it. If you return stronger, then a positive adaptation has taken place. That is why he tells you to record the date, body weight, exercise, weight used, and exact number of repetitions. And on this point, I completely agree with him. Too many people judge a workout entirely by emotion. They remember that it felt brutal, the music was good, they sweated heavily, they had an enormous pump, but they have no idea what weight they used during the previous workout or how many controlled repetitions they completed. Without a training record, you are largely guessing. Now, strength progression isn't a perfect measurement of muscle growth. You can become stronger because your technique improves, your confidence increases, or you become more efficient at performing the exercise. But when your execution remains consistent and your performance gradually improves across time, it is one of the most useful signs that your training is moving in the right direction. The 14-day gap also makes the journal especially important because you have very few opportunities to repeat each exercise. You need to know exactly what happened during the previous workout. Was the weight higher? Did you perform more repetitions? Was your technique better? Did your body weight change? Without accurate records, it would be very difficult to evaluate a program this infrequent. And this might be the first way to judge the consolidation routine, not by looking at the small number of exercises and immediately deciding that it cannot work, and not by accepting it simply because Mike Mentzer recommended it. Try the program honestly, record everything accurately, observe your recovery, strength, and physical development. Then allow the results to tell you whether the routine is appropriate for you. Mike Mentzer's consolidation routine is a completely logical extension of his heavy duty philosophy. Create a powerful stimulus, perform no unnecessary work, allow the body to recover, and measure the results objectively. There are several lessons here that almost any lifter can use. Choose productive exercises. Train with genuine focus. Stop using pump and soreness as your only measurement of success, and keep an accurate training journal. I also know from my own experience that very low volume training can produce results. When I experimented with heavy duty in my 20s, I noticed progress. So, I would never tell somebody that a routine cannot work simply because it contains fewer sets than what most bodybuilders perform. More training doesn't automatically mean more growth, and less training doesn't automatically mean insufficient growth. However, this particular routine is at the most extreme end of low volume training. Whether 4 working sets across 14 days provide enough stimulation will depend upon the individual. It will depend upon the quality of those sets, their recovery ability, their level of development, and how completely those 4 exercises train their physics. For one person, this program could be exactly what they need to begin progressing again. For another, it might provide enough stimulation for some muscles, but not for others. And for somebody who has been performing far too much training, this could be an extremely valuable way to discover how little work may actually be necessary. But the program shouldn't be judged only by how short it looks on paper, and it shouldn't be accepted simply because Mike Mentzer recommended it. It should be judged by the results it produces. Are you recovering? Are you getting stronger? Are your measurements and physique improving? And are all the muscles you want to develop actually progressing? If the answer is yes, the program is working. If the answer is no, then something needs to be adjusted. Not because Menser must be wrong, and not because another training system must be superior, but because the program has to work for the individual performing it. Could you genuinely perform only two working sets, leave the gym, and wait another 7 days before training again? And if you return the stronger every time, would that be enough to convince you that the program was working? Or would you still feel that you need more exercise? Let me know, because I think this might be one of Mike's most interesting and controversial routines. If you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe to the channel because we are continuing to analyze the training systems of bodybuilding's most influential figures. And remember, the purpose isn't to blindly follow one system or completely reject another. It is to understand the principles, examine your results, and discover what actually works for you. This has been Mike Mentzer's final consolidation routine, Decoded. I will see you in the next one.